There is a version of you that you have not encountered yet. A version so cold, so deliberate, and so relentlessly consistent that if you met him today, you would not recognize him. You would fear him. Most people believe discipline is about waking up early, eating clean, or working hard. They are mistaken. True discipline is not a habit. It is an act of violence against your own weakness. It is the capacity to face your emotions, your exhaustion, and your excuses, and bury them alive. Machiavelli understood this. He did not write for saints. He wrote for strategists. He knew that to hold power in a chaotic world, you cannot afford to be soft. You cannot afford to be predictable. You must become a force of nature. When you become truly disciplined, people do not merely respect you. They grow uneasy around you. They sense a shift. They see a man who can no longer be manipulated. A man who has stopped bargaining with himself. And that unsettles them. Because a man who cannot be broken by his own mind cannot be broken by anything else. You are here because you are tired. Not physically tired, but soul tired. You are worn down by your own inconsistency. You are sick of making promises to yourself that collapse by noon. You watch others rise while you remain stuck in the same cycle of motivation followed by failure. You want to know how to escape. You want to know how to build a mind that is bulletproof. I am going to show you. But be warned, this is not self-help. This is self-destruction. We are going to dismantle the weak, dependent, emotional part of you so that the ruler can emerge. We are going to apply the ruthless philosophy of Niccolo Machiavelli to your daily life. By the end of this video, you will understand why being liked is a weakness and why being feared through your discipline is the ultimate freedom. But you must listen carefully, because the secret is not in what you add to your life. It is in what you are willing to kill. Most men are slaves. Slaves to their impulses. Slaves to their phones. Slaves to the opinions of people they do not even respect. The moment you step onto this path, you stop being a slave. You become a sovereign. But sovereignty has a cost. Are you willing to pay it? Phase 1, the discipline of silence. Machiavelli famously said, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience who you really are." The average man reveals everything. He announces his plans. He posts his workouts. He declares his new era on social media before he has completed a single day of work. He seeks validation for effort he has not yet earned. This is why he fails. He releases the pressure valve before the engine even turns over. You must do the opposite. You must become a ghost. True discipline demands silence. It demands darkness. When you constantly talk about your goals, you are begging for approval. You are asking the world, "Is it acceptable if I become this?" Stop asking. The most dangerous man in the room is the one who listens, observes, and says nothing. When you fall silent, you create a vacuum. People grow uneasy. They project their own fears onto you. They wonder what you are doing. They wonder why you no longer need their attention. That silence becomes your armor. It shields your intent. When you work in the dark, you make mistakes no one ever sees. You correct them without judgment. You build strength without the interference of other people's doubt. Imagine disappearing for 6 months. No announcements, no explanations. Just work. The gym, the business, the mind. You cut the noise. You cut the cheap dopamine. You cut the toxic friends who only value you when you are drinking with them. And then you re-emerge. But you do not return the same. You come back sharper, heavier. Your presence feels different. You do not have to tell people you changed. They can feel it. They see it in your posture. They hear it in the way you do not speak. This is the discipline of the ghost. It unsettles people because it exposes their own lack of focus. It reminds them that while they were chasing attention, you were building power. Start today. Stop explaining yourself. Explanation is the language of the victim. The powerful do not justify their actions. They execute. If you are tired, shut up and work. If you are hurt, shut up and heal. If you are winning, shut up and keep winning. Your results will speak, and they will speak louder than anything you could ever say. Comment below if you are ready to enter the void. I build in silence. Phase 2, Emotional Alchemy. There is a common misconception that disciplined people are robots, that they feel no pain, boredom, or sadness. That is false. The disciplined man feels everything. He feels the urge to sleep in. He feels the sting of rejection. He feels the overwhelming desire to quit. The difference is that he does not care. Machiavelli argued that a leader must not be ruled by emotion, but must learn to use it. He said, "Men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear. You must apply this to yourself. You cannot rely on loving the grind. You will not love the grind at 4 a.m. You will hate it. You cannot depend on passion. Passion is a fragile flame. A single gust of wind extinguishes it. You need something colder. You need duty. Discipline is the art of acting in direct opposition to how you feel. It is emotional alchemy. You take the lead weight of "I do not want to" and transmute it into the gold of "I did it anyway." When you stop checking your feelings before you act, you become dangerous. Think about it. If your enemy knows you only fight when you feel motivated, all they have to do is wait until you are sad, until you are tired. Then you are defenseless. But if you are the kind of man who works harder when he is miserable, who trains harder when he is heartbroken, who focuses deeper when he is angry, you become unpredictable. You become immune to circumstance. This unsettles people. They look at you and think, "Why isn't he stopping? He should be broken by now." They do not understand that you have separated your actions from your emotions. You treat your feelings like the weather. You look out the window and see a storm. You acknowledge it. It is raining. But you do not cancel your mission because of rain. You put on a coat and you walk. This is the Machiavellian approach to the self. You are the prince, and your emotions are unruly subjects. You listen to them, but you do not allow them to rule the kingdom. If they riot, you crush them. Start practicing the seconds rule. When the alarm goes off, you have 3 seconds. If you think for 4 seconds, your brain will persuade you to stay in bed. Your brain is built for comfort, not greatness. It is a survival mechanism, not a success mechanism. You must bypass negotiation. 1, 2, 3. Move. Do not think. Thinking is the enemy of execution. In the moment of weakness, just move. The body must obey the command. Over time, you rewire your neural pathways. You stop being a man who tries to be good. You become a machine that functions regardless of how it feels. This is how you become untouchable. When your internal state no longer controls your external output, you are free. Phase 3, the weaponization of isolation. Machiavelli knew that to preserve power, a ruler often had to stand alone. He wrote, "A wise prince should rely on what is in his own control, not on what is in the control of others." Look at your circle. Look at the 5 people you spend the most time with. Are they pushing you forward? Or are they comfortable where they are? Most people are terrified of being alone. They fill every silent moment with podcasts, music, texting, scrolling. They cannot sit in a room with their own thoughts because those thoughts haunt them. Those thoughts tell them the truth. You are wasting your potential. To become terrifyingly disciplined, you must embrace isolation. You must be willing to walk away from people who do not serve the mission. This sounds cruel. It is. It is ruthless. But it is necessary. When you begin to rise, people will try to pull you back, not because they hate you, but because your growth exposes their stagnation. You are a mirror. When you get in shape, the fat friend feels judged. When you build a business, the lazy friend feels attacked. They will say, "You've changed. You're obsessed. You're no fun anymore." Good. Fun is the distraction of the average. You are not here for fun. You are here for mastery. You must grow comfortable with the idea of being the villain in someone else's story. Let them call you cold. Let them call you distant. Let them tell stories about how you think you are better than everyone else. You do not think you are better. You simply have different standards, and you refuse to lower them to make others feel at ease. Isolation is the laboratory of the great. It is in solitude that you discover who you really are. Free from the noise of other people's opinions, you begin to hear your own voice. You clarify your vision. You need to schedule periods of total withdrawal. Monk mode. Deep work. Whatever you choose to call it. Lock the door. Turn off the phone. Face the work. In that space, you will encounter demons. You will meet boredom. You will feel anxiety. And you will fight them. And when you win that fight in the dark, you step back into the light with a confidence that cannot be faked. People sense it. They sense a man who does not need them. And ironically, that is exactly what makes them want to follow you. The man who is comfortable alone is the man everyone wants to be around, because he is the only one who is not trying to take something from them. He is full. Phase 4, the fear of unpredictability. Machiavelli advised that a leader should never be entirely predictable. It is far safer to be feared than loved, because love is maintained by obligation, and obligation is broken whenever it serves someone's advantage. Fear, however, is preserved by the dread of punishment, which never fails. How does this apply to discipline? When you are undisciplined, you are predictable. People know you will quit. They know you will complain. They know that if they apply enough pressure, you will fold. You are easy to manipulate because your weaknesses are exposed. When you become disciplined, you become a glitch in their matrix. You stop reacting. Someone insults you, and you do not get angry. You look at them, pause, and return to your work. A crisis hits. You do not panic. You analyze. You lose money. You do not cry. You rebuild. This absence of reaction terrifies manipulative people. They depend on your emotional volatility to control you. When you remove the buttons they used to press, they become powerless. Your consistency turns into a weapon. Imagine a man who shows up every single day. He does not complain. He does not brag. He simply executes. Year after year, you cannot stop him. You cannot discourage him. You cannot distract him. That man is frightening because he is inevitable. You want to be that man. You want to be the force that cannot be negotiated with. This is not about aggression. It is about being implacable. Like a glacier, slow, silent, crushing everything in its path. And this requires you to kill the part of yourself that craves sympathy. Stop telling people your problems. Stop posting about your bad days. Stop fishing for a pat on the back. When you seek sympathy, you expose your belly. You show the world exactly where you can be hurt. Machiavelli would tell you to conceal your wounds, not out of shame, but because you do not want to give your enemies the pleasure of knowing they drew blood. Stand up straight. Set your face. Walk with intent. Even if your world is burning down, you do not let them see you sweat. This is not pretending. This is framing. You are shaping reality. You are telling the world, I am in control. And eventually you will be. Phase 5, the standard of the absolute. Why do you fail? You fail because your standards are too low. You have accepted a version of reality where trying is enough, where almost counts. You need to raise the floor. Machiavelli studied the great empires Rome, Sparta. They did not fall because of external enemies. They fell because they decayed from within. They lost their discipline. They grew soft. Luxury made them weak. You are living in the most comfortable era in human history. You have heating, delivery, food, endless entertainment, pornography, sugar, drugs. Everything is designed to soften you. Everything is designed to sedate you. To be disciplined in this world is an act of rebellion. You must declare war on comfort. You must set standards that appear unreasonable to everyone else. Why do you wake up at 4 a.m.? Why do you verify every detail? Why do you refuse to eat that because I am not you? That is the internal monologue. You do not say it out loud. You live it. When you hold yourself to a standard of excellence, you expose the mediocrity of everyone around you. This is why they resent it. Your existence challenges their excuses. If you can do it, why can't they? It is easier for them to call you crazy or obsessed than to admit they are lazy. Let them. The Machiavellian man does not lower himself to be understood by fools. He forces the world to rise to meet him, or he leaves it behind. You must become ruthless with your time. Time is the only resource you cannot regenerate. Every second you waste arguing with an idiot, scrolling through social media, or worrying about what you cannot control is a second stolen from your future empire. Guard your time like a dragon guards gold. Be inaccessible. Be concise. Be direct. When people realize your time is expensive, they stop wasting it. When they realize your attention is rare, they value it. Discipline creates scarcity, and scarcity creates value. By becoming so disciplined that your execution is almost mechanical, you lift yourself out of the competition. Most people are competing in the average bracket. The air is thin at the top because very few have the lungs to breathe there, to climb there. The view is different. The silence is different. Phase 6, the death of the old self. This is the hardest stage. This is where you hold the funeral. To become the person who scares them, you must kill the person you used to be. You must kill the version of yourself that needs to be liked. You must kill the version that apologizes for having ambition. You have to face your past, your mistakes, your trauma, your embarrassments, and close the door. Machiavelli said, "There is no avoiding war. It can only be postponed to the advantage of others." You are at war with your former self. If you do not kill him, he will kill your future. He will drag you back into old habits. He will whisper in your ear when things get hard. Just take a break. Just one drink. Just skip today. You must be ruthless. You are shedding a skin. And it is painful. It leaves you raw. But it is the only way to grow. You may lose friends. You may lose a partner. You may be misunderstood by your family. This is the tax you pay for greatness. Do not complain about the tax. Pay it. Because on the other side of that death is a rebirth, a version of you that is leaner, meaner, and faster. A version of you that operates on logic instead of emotion. A version that sees the world as a chessboard, not a playground. This new version of you is frightening. He scares you a little. Doesn't he? He should. Power is always frightening. And you are building power, not power over others, which is tyranny, but power over yourself, which is majesty. When you walk into a room with complete self-control, you vibrate at a different frequency. People yield the right of way. They do not know why, but they know you are not to be trifled with. You carry that look, the look of a man who has seen the abyss and walked through it, the look of a man who has conquered his own mind. There is no greater victory. As the Stoics knew, as Machiavelli knew, the man who conquers himself is greater than the man who conquers a city. So what happens when you commit to this? When you truly become this disciplined, the noise stops. The anxiety that has hummed in the background of your life for years goes quiet. Because anxiety comes from knowing you are unprepared. It comes from knowing you are lying to yourself. When you are disciplined, you have nothing to hide. You know who you are. You know what you are capable of. You stop fearing the future because you are building it. You stop fearing other people because you know they cannot outwork you. You stop fearing failure because you understand that failure is simply data for the next attempt. You become free, but it is a cold freedom. It is a lonely freedom. It is the freedom of the wolf on the hill, looking down at the sheep in the pen. They are warm. They are safe. They are fed, but they are trapped. You are out in the cold. You are hungry, but you are free. And that is the choice you must make today. Do you want the warmth of the herd or the power of the hunt? You cannot have both. Machiavelli wrote his philosophy in exile. He was stripped of status, tortured, and cast out. And in that darkness, he wrote the words that would change the world. He did not need applause. He needed truth. Your discipline is your truth. It is the only thing that truly belongs to you. They can take your money. They can take your job. They can take your reputation. But they cannot take your discipline. They cannot take your capacity to endure. That is your fortress. That is your throne. Listen to me. The world is getting softer. The world is getting louder. The world is becoming more chaotic. This is your advantage. While they grow weaker, you grow harder. While they become distracted, you sharpen your focus. While they chase comfort, you seek the edge. You are going to scare them, not because you are trying to, but because you are a mirror reflecting everything they are too afraid to become. Let them stare. Let them whisper. Let them fear. You have work to do. The path is cold. The path is steep, and you must walk it alone. But now you are ready. If you have made it this far, you are part of the 0.01%. You are the outlier. Prove it. Comment below. I choose the cold path. And if you want to continue this descent into the deeper psychology of power, if you want to arm your mind with weapons they never taught you in school, follow the channel and turn on notifications. We are only getting started. The old you is dead. Now go build the new one.